This is Elisa Balsamo and you are listening to the Will Toll podcast. Today's Giro d'Italia stage 5 from Mirano to Monselice.
Hello. There's 3 of us here today. Loren Rowney.
G'day everyone. That was not a 1-star rated race. Let's start with that.
We're a 3-star podcast today because there's 3-star podcasters. No, take it back. Cosmo Catalano, you're back.
Hello, yeah. Stoked for this one.
What an insane day. I mean, I had propped myself up on the couch. I had some lemonade. I was actually watching the men's race is going on right now, had the women's race muted, and then I glanced at my computer and I was like, wait, what?
I was doing the opposite, Abby. I wasn't looking at, because I've got 2 laptops up. Don't ask, I'm working from home. And I was listening while I was doing a newsletter, and then I heard the commentators going, there's a big split in the field, and I looked across and then it was done for the newsletter at that point.
Cosmo, what about you? Were you actually watching the race?
I was, and I was similarly okay, well, there's 2 minutes left to the breakaway. Nothing's going to happen. It's totally flat. And then I turned around and saw UAE pinning it coming out of a corner right up against this brick wall. And it's sort of did I fall asleep and wake up in April? This is wild.
Yeah, it was totally crazy. I mean, so there was your standard 5-person breakaway goes away for what was slated to be just your standard sprint stage. Everyone was looking at Wiebes, and Wiebes still won the stage, but with 52K to go, there was some crosswinds, and UAE team ADQ just absolutely decimated the peloton with SD Worx Pro Time and Movistar, the 3 teams. Movistar less so, but mostly UAE and SD Worx, they made this selection of 22 riders, I think it was in the beginning, and left stage 4 winner Sarah Gigante behind. I think her climbing yesterday was scary enough that they were hey, we really need to take advantage of every single opportunity we got. And they had an opportunity for crosswinds, and you really don't expect it from a team built as a GC team like UAE ADQ here to support Elisa Longoborghini, but man, they really did their homework on this stage. And in the preview, I wrote that there might be some crosswinds. The way that the course was laid out, and it was really close to the sea, so there's always a chance of crosswinds, but it didn't look like there were going to be any crosswinds, and that is not how the race was won.
I mean, it wasn't that windy, right? Weren't the wind speeds 10 kilometers an hour? It really seemed like it was sort of a combination. If you look at the course, it trends mostly south, and then right where it's split, it turns to the west. And it seemed like it went through a small town kind of right as it turned. So there were these kind of narrow roads. There was the sort of a canal or a river, and then there was a series of bridges. And it was almost like 2 different races. If you saw the camera at the front of the course, it looked a little bit like it was sort of a 15K to go rather than a 53K to go. You saw teams kind of grouped up, kind of keeping an eye out. And then at the back, everybody was, calm, coming back from nature breaks and feeds and stuff. And then all of a sudden it blew up, and it's it's cool to see how thoroughly a couple of committed teams can destroy the race, even when the crosswinds aren't full blast.
Yeah, I think to that point, if you have a really strong team, we saw what UAE did in the UAE tour, right? When they just decimated it on that one stage and then had 4 riders in that group that went away and ultimately, decided the GC, because a lot of those GC contenders were caught out and lost over a minute already on, stage 2. And that's exactly what they did. And that's all it takes. It doesn't even have to be super windy. You just need a slightly technical section with a large bunch. And if you catch GC riders sleeping at the back, and everyone knows riders like Gigante and Urshka Zigat, just to name a couple, do like to sit at the back, and quite often, they're caught sleeping. I think that's the expression, and that's what happened here, because, when the chaos ensued, you could see, because Gigante is in that blue climbers jersey, she was in that third group on the road, and it was like, oh shit, like, if they really put the hammer down, you just look at the composition of that front group, like the major horsepower in the peloton was up there. So once it went, I think they did get pretty organized in the second group and the third group. And it was like, I was like looking at the time checks, and it hung around that 35 seconds out to 40 seconds. Then it went out to like a minute, and then it went down a bit, and then it blew out in the end to like a minute 40 or something. So it was really crucial. And it just goes to show that, even if you're a phenomenal climber, of course, teams are going to look for these opportunities. Like, you would have to have been on high alert the whole day. And I would have argued that this was probably the most important stage for a rider like Gigante, like the full team support around her, and she should have been trying to surf near the front as much as she could. That said, it is a long stage. So it's like, to be on it the whole time, if that doesn't come to you naturally, that is really fatiguing. So in that moment, I mean, how were they to really know at that point it was going to go like that? Like we said, we were caught sleeping when we were just listening to the race. So very unfortunate for her, but is it surprising? No. I mean, you take every opportunity you can when you're up against such a climber. And I think, as I was saying on the commentary, we would argue that maybe she's the standout climber for this race, and we still have a couple of very hard stages to come.
Yeah, I mean, UAE Team ADQ is clearly just throwing everything that they can at the race to try to give Elise Longoborghini any advantage she can. And Reusser was on it. She was there. She made that selection. She's still in the pink jersey. I think one of the most interesting things to watch was how organized that front group was and how disorganized the chase was, given that the race was just riding away from them. You had UAE Team ADQ with a bunch of riders up there, and they were riding so hard, especially in that final 15K, that they were shedding teammates out the back. Like, riders were doing just these insane pulls and then sitting up. Same with SC Works Pro Time. And those two teams committed to the effort so much. Whereas in the back, you had like, every time the camera kind of went back to that group, there was riders from all the teams that had missed the split. Phoenix Decunic, Little Trek, Canyon-SRAM, zondacrypto, and of course AG Insurance Sudal. There were teammates from all those teams kind of riding at the front, but none of them organized. There was no organization between teams. And the power was already up the road with the strength of the teams that had initiated the split in the first place. But you would think that if they could have gotten a little bit more organized behind, that they could have at least mitigated the damage. And they really didn't do that. It was just full commitment at the front and kind of a lackluster attempt at a chase behind that just didn't have any organization.
Yeah, no, you're right, Abby. But I think that point there is, it's two things, right? It was the power on the front and the complete organization. They were committed from the start. And then in those moments, you have to have full commitment. Otherwise, it will blow out. And, the least amount of damage, I wonder, it would have been around 45 seconds, maybe, if they were super committed to the chase, and you had Phoenix organized with AG and Little Trek and Canyon, then I think you would have seen less damage done. But it is what it is. At one point, I did think, when it was coming down under the minute again, that maybe when they hit the circuits, things were going to change, and we would have seen only maybe around 45 to 50 seconds or something like that. But in the end, it blew out to 140. Putting Gigante down now 2 minutes 16, which is maybe something we can talk about towards the end of this mini podcast, is how much time, like how much of a buffer would Reusser and Longoborghini be comfortable with going into the remaining hard stages?
For the stage win, it did come down to a sprint. It was won by Wiebes. We kind of knew that was going to happen, but I thought for a second there that Voss would maybe be able to challenge her, having made that split. Voss had less teammates, but they really just, her and Rosita Reinhardt, they really just surfed around in that group and didn't do as much work as other riders in the group. But Wiebes had that Kopecky lead out, and Voss was in the perfect position behind Wiebes, but she could not come around her when she kicked. And so it was the Wiebes Voss 1-2 and Liana Lippert with a surprising third place on the stage.
She came from way back. Like there was a big gap there.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there could have been a second split in the time gaps there. But it was a sprint at the end. Your standard sprint.
Voss did a great job of coming around the corner and kind of using her momentum through the final corner to get up to Wiebes's wheel, and looked like she was trying to get like the drop on her, get an early start. And she came out briefly out of the slipstream and was very quickly like, I can't go this fast. It's so hard to beat her right now. She's so fast. Like,
yeah. And like when you're rolling off Kopecky's wheel as well, how do you beat that combination?
Yeah, we do have an update on Kopecky. Since the stage yesterday, her general manager, Danny Stam, said to the media that she's having lower back pain. So she's riding the climbs, especially kind of within herself, as they say. And the team is monitoring that pain and how they're going to handle that in the coming stages and the upcoming racing as well.
Poor Kopecky.
Have we heard anything from FDJ?
Not yet.
Brody Chapman had mentioned that there was some sickness in yesterday's podcast. And because FDJ was there ready for the split. Like they were one of the teams you could see clustered near the front, and they just didn't get there. And I don't know if that was, they took maybe the wrong way around some road furniture, or they were just, Lebu or whoever they were working for just was like, I don't have it. I can't keep this pace. But I saw more of them than I saw of Movistar, because part of that was Reusser doing such a good job kind of staying in the wheels and surfing versus just throwing a big show of force together like the other teams were doing.
Yeah, FDJ Suez was really the only team to kind of try to organize a chase when that split first happened. Like they had their whole team at the front, but they just couldn't put down the power to bring that group back within jumping distance or anything. Well, we have a couple audio diaries today before we dive into the general classification, mostly from teams that missed the split. So I'm interested to hear what everyone has to say. We'll start with Lieke Nooijen of Visma-Lease bike. They had a good day. It's hard to beat Wiebes at the moment, and Voss, she tried her best.
Hey, hi. Yes, the race today. Today's stage was a flat one, 122 kilometers in total. Right after the neutralization, a small group got away, and that was followed by a counterattack, but it was quickly brought back. The sun was out and we were expecting a bunch sprint, but it played out a little differently. The wind forecasts were minimal, so it was a bit of a surprise when an echelon formed. With around 50 kilometers to go, we hit a dike, and that's when UAE and Team SD Works really hit the gas. A gap opened around the tank place 20, and that was it. And that was basically it. The pace stayed super high, and the gap never closed. It was a really fast race. Team UAE rode a super strong race today, and we had two riders in the front group, including Marianne, who sprinted to a second place behind a really strong Lorena Wiebes. Unfortunately, there were also a few small crashes today. I hope that everyone is okay. The next 3 days are going to be extremely hard. We will see what happens. Let's fight till the end, I would say.
From a team that missed the split and also was kind of throwing riders into the chase, Picnic PostNL, Becky Storrie.
Another day done, stage 5 complete. We're officially over the halfway point now, so having a little personal celebration about that because the tiredness is certainly starting to hit. Sadly, we're 2 girls down, but morale is still high. I think the biggest thing that's getting us through is every morning having a good rap battle on the bus. So that's challenge number 1 of the day. The competition already starts before the real competition. But yeah, another day, another hard day, full of surprises, as is every day. I don't know how everyone else is feeling, but as I said, I'm pretty tired. So, and I know how hard the next 3 days are going to be. But as I said, in our group, morale is high, and we're ready to give it everything we've got.
And one more team that had a really bad day. Not only did they miss the split, they also had Georgia Baker come down in a crash, and she would have been one of the favorites to kind of take it to Weebus in the sprint. Liv AlUla Jayco's Josie Talbot.
Yeah, on the massage table at the moment after stage 5 of the Giro. Yeah, look, you keep catching me on our bad days. Yeah, it was not a great day for us. On paper, it was going to be a good opportunity for Georgia again in the sprint. But UAE and SDX had some other plans, and it caused a bit of a split, which we unfortunately missed. But unfortunately, that was just the start of our troubles of the day. Unfortunately, Georgia had 2 crashes throughout the day, and also Caroline came down also. So they're pretty battered and bruised with lots of skin off. So thought we were down and out yesterday, the day before, but apparently, could get worse. But as everyone would know, Green Edge have such a great team spirit that, we'll come back the next few days and give it a red hot crack. But we've travelled a bit south now. We're at a hotel on the beach, weird Italian beach, one of those ones with all the chairs and umbrellas all over the sand, not like our nice Aussie beaches back home, but beach nonetheless. So trying to enjoy the beach and relax and recover for some 3 really hard stages coming up. Lots more climbing. So wish us luck.
So when it comes to the general classification, the real winner on the stage was Anna van der Breggen, because she jumped up to 3rd overall. She's a minute 53 down on Reusser, and I don't think that is a gap that she is going to be able to make up in the next 3 stages, but to finish on the podium of both the Vuelta and the Giro would be a success in and of itself. So ST Works Pro Time, questionable tactics in stage 4, but they were able to get Anna van der Breggen. They were able to win stage 5 and get Anna van der Breggen onto the overall podium.
However, we're only at stage 5, and she doesn't have that much of a buffer to the other climbers. So I would say for them, the biggest win of the day was Weber's just taking another stage win, but Gigante is only, let's say, 25 seconds or something down on her. Like, the way that she's climbing, as long as she continues to back up and do what we know she can do, I think she'll still climb her way back into the final podium. But it's just a question of how much time can she pull back on Rusa and Longo Borghini, who are in great shape and probably won't be able to go with her when, we hit the real hard stuff. But that was my question a few minutes back, is how much of a buffer will they be comfortable with, knowing what Gigante can do?
Yeah, she was over a minute ahead of van der Breggen on stage 4. So I don't know how long that gap is going to hold up in the GC. I'm interested to see how Reusser does, because she didn't look bad at all on stage 4, but definitely Longo Borghini was calling the shots in that finale. She was the one making moves, and Reusser was never doing anything except trying to get to that wheel and hold that wheel. And I wonder if that's just she's racing smart, she doesn't want to put any extra effort out, or if that is she's holding on by the very edge of her fingers, hoping to not let a gap open.
Yeah, valid point. I mean, I think the race is still very much not over. Like, it's 16 seconds between Elise Longo Borghini and Reusser. Longo Borghini definitely looks like she has the strongest team at the moment. Reusser had Lippert up there with her today, but Movistar is lacking a little bit compared to UAE Team ADQ. And when it comes to the riders that were able to kind of leapfrog over Gigante, just incredible ride from Katrin Alerud to make that split. And now she sits in 4th overall. She had a really good day in stage 4 as well in the climb. So super impressive from the Uno X mobility rider to have made it this far into the race and be 4th overall. But I do think when it comes to the real climbing, especially stage 7, that the 9-second gap that is in between her and Gigante Gigante is going to be able to make that up. Antonia Niedermeyer also slipped to 6th overall, 2 minutes 45 down. And so I think for Canyon-SRAM zondacrypto, like they're really going to want to do something. And I think what I want to see for the next 3 stages is they're a team that can, if things aren't going their way, they can throw a wrench in a race. Like we saw it at Tour de Suisse last year. We saw it at the Giro last year. So since Antonia is now in 6th and far enough down that I don't think that a podium finish in the overall is a realistic goal with 3 stages to go, I want to see what kind of chaos they're going to throw in the next 3 stages, because there's a lot of climbing in the next 3 stages, not just the Queen stage on Saturday. And we actually have an audio diary from Alice Towers. So let's hear from the team themselves.
This audio diary is about actually the unexpected coolness of this year's Giro so far. Last year, Giro was like insanely hot, and I'm pretty sure the whole peloton has been like traumatized by last year. So I think every rider had to do like over the top heat preparation in preparation for this year's Giro. But actually, so we've just finished stage 5, and each stage has been I wouldn't say cool, but like definitely nowhere near as hot as last year, and even actually maybe a bit on the chillier side some days. So I don't want to speak too soon though. We still got 3 stages to go, and we head more south. So it might heat up as we head towards the weekend. But yeah, so far the heat preparation hasn't been super crucial, which is completely different to last year where temperatures were close to 40 degrees. So yeah, touch wood, and hopefully it stays underneath 30 until Sunday.
Stage 6 tomorrow, Friday, 145 kilometers. It's a hilly one. This is the stage where they go through San Marino, and I love all the fun facts that I found on the internet about the microstate of San Marino. That's the first climb of the day, like 32 kilometers into the stage. And then there's 2 category 3 climbs later in the stage, but there's a lot of uncategorized climbing. So I think that this stage looks like a breakaway day. It looks like one of those Giro breakaway days where it's going to be, Italian teams in the break. But I think the way that this Giro is going, it's incredibly unpredictable. I couldn't tell you what's going to happen. And I just think it's going to be a really great day to watch.
Yeah, I think anyone listening to this is hopefully also following along. And if not, I would definitely tune in for the next 3 stages. Like, you don't want to miss it, because this is where it's all going to go down. Like yesterday was thrilling with Gigante's win, but I'm just so excited to see, like you said, Abby, what teams like Canyon-SRAM are going to do now. Expect Little Trek as well to be ambitious and hunting another stage win. Which will animate the race. So yeah, and what is Rusa going to do? Like Cosmo was saying, is she just doing a measured effort? Like, was she doing a measured effort yesterday on the stage and then is going to do something similar? Or is she going to release like all the big guns on Saturday in the mountain, the Queen stage? So yeah, it will be thrilling. Don't miss it. I would definitely tune in. And if you're working tomorrow, definitely tune in for Saturday, Sunday, because it's at a good time, right? Like,
oh, I'm absolutely loving the timing of the stages. Like, it's early for the US, and I'm sure those in California.
For mountain time.
Californians are not loving the timing. But I mean, even for the Australians, it's not like insanely late for them. Like, it's not middle of the night. And for us Europeans with children, it is like with small children, it's smack in the middle of nap time. So it's fantastic. Well, Cosmo, Loren, thank you guys so much for joining the podcast today. We will sign out with one final audio diary from Mirre Knaven of EF Education-Oatly.
So today was a flat stage. We were, or at least I was excited for a flat stage after all this climbing. The atmosphere was super nice.
with the warming up today before the stage. There were a lot of kids standing with small books and asking for signatures. Yeah, really cute, but there were a lot of them, so it was a lot to sign. I don't think it would have been possible to sign all of their papers and stuff. But no, the atmosphere here is super nice, and there are a lot of supporters, so that's super motivating also. Yeah, I thought it was going to be easy, but actually it was really hard. A lot of fighting for position the whole stage, so and it went really fast as well. So yeah, until tomorrow.
This episode was produced, edited, and mixed by Will Jones at Red Bricks Media.